listen real good now, because I'm going to tell you a real sad story.
Man, I gotta tell you, I was listening to a little bit of Joe Rose today on WQAM, and I don't want you guys to think this is my idea. I got this inspiration from the great Joe Rose. My favorite Miami Dolphins analysis to listen to this season is the Joe Rose Show on WQAM 104.3, Miami Sports, South Florida. He played this morning to open up his show, and this made me feel inspired to play this one. It's just really depressing to be a Miami Dolphins fan. Another playoff-less win season for the Miami Dolphins, as we enter 26 years without a playoff win. Daddy made me love the Dolphins so many times, and why? Oh my goodness, man! Let's play it again. Daddy made me love the Dolphins so many times. I asked myself why. It's so sad. Love the Dolphins. Man, oh man. This team makes me feel so many emotions. It's an up and down roller coaster every single season. But you know what? As I said last night, the Dolphins present their fan base the same movie every single year. And Stephen Ross said at the end of last season that status quo is not good enough. And we will not accept status quo in this organization. And here we are. December 16th. 6-8. Right after week 15. The Dolphins don't make the playoffs. They're sitting here at 6-8 after week 15. And they're not in the playoffs. They are officially out of the playoff picture. And here we go. Stephen Ross said that status quo is not acceptable. Well, this is status quo. 6-8. You beat up on the good teams. You pull your fan base back in to make them believe, and you crush their dreams. And now you're 6-8, and you have mightily regressed in the Tua Tagovailoa, Mike McDaniel era, where the first season you made the playoffs at 9-8. Tua has a bunch of concussions that year, and you almost win a playoff game with Skylar Thompson in Buffalo. Okay, you can take some positives away from that season. The following season, everything's looking awesome. 9-3, first in the AFC, 3-game lead over the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East, and you crumble. You fold like a napkin in December and January, and you go from 9-3 to getting bounced in the first round by the Kansas City Chiefs. And then the following year, Tua gets a concussion the second week against Buffalo. He comes back, beats up the bad teams, gets a surprise win against the Rams, has a big-time game on the road, Thanksgiving, Green Bay, pooped the bed. Another big-time game on the road, late in the year, this time against the Houston Texans, pooped the bed. And you finished last year at 8-9. And this year now, you're 6-8 with 3 games left. We're going into week 16, and we're out of the playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not even Christmas. It's not even Christmas yet, ladies and gentlemen. And the Dolphins are already out of the playoff picture 9 days before Christmas. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. That this team is out 6-8, 9 days before. They don't even make it to Christmas to compete in the playoff picture. And I was going to come on here and I was going to talk about next season and all that stuff. And I guess we can talk a little bit about next season. But not in what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about players that we could build around in 2026. That's going to have to wait a couple weeks. Okay, maybe we'll talk about that the week of the Patriots game or whatever. Or maybe after the season's over. I don't really know. But we got some news to talk about because Mike McDaniel had his day after the game press conference and he dropped a bombshell saying that everything is on the table and that a decision will be made tomorrow about who the Dolphins starting quarterback is going to be Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals and potentially the rest of the way from now until the end of the season, January 4th, which is not surprising, and it's something that needs to happen. So, what did Mike McDaniel say in the presser? We will talk about it. We will talk about Tua Tagovailoa. There's some things that I went back and looked on last night, and just, God, there's so much that bothered me with that game last night. And one thing that I didn't catch on the live broadcast that I saw on social media was, let me get it for you guys, was this picture right here. Okay, this is Tua Tagovailoa laughing on the sidelines, and Aaron Brewer is basically looking at him like, bro, why the fuck are you laughing? Like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And that's not like a smile. That's not a chuckle. He's sitting there going, ha 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 ha. Bro, I don't know what the fuck you're laughing at. But you are not going to be laughing when your ass is going to be on the bench on Sunday holding the clipboard. You're not going to be laughing then. And you're not going to be laughing when your career in Miami is over. Because I firmly believe that when, it's not a matter of if at this point, when Tua Tagovailoa gets benched, there is no coming back from this. There's no coming back. You're either going to bench him for Zach Wilson, who for years ago was a laughingstock in this league, was a meme, was absolutely horrendous with the Jets, or you're going to get benched for a 7th round rookie quarterback. So we'll talk about that, what Mike McDaniel said today, and tomorrow is a big day. I wanted to get this up earlier, but I had so much going on after work today. I did a lot of Christmas shopping tonight. I'm going to be doing more Christmas shopping tomorrow, so we will have another video tomorrow. I guarantee you that, because it's a big day. The quarterback is going to get announced for this week. So, We'll talk about what McDaniel said. We'll talk more about Tua. And we'll talk about what direction I think this team is going to go in for the rest of the season. I can't really say on what they're going to go in next season. I don't really know yet. That's something we're not going to know until about March or April. We're not going to know that. But I do appreciate you guys joining me tonight. It's rough. It is depressing to be a fan of this team. It's absolutely depressing over here, man. And it's sad. And at the end of the day, us as Dolphin fans, we've got to come together as one in a time like this. We cannot let this guy divide the fan base as to having different opinions. Everybody's just got to have a clear eye as to what's really going on. We got to all come together, and we all got to be on the same page with this one. I don't know how anybody can sit there on social media and bat for Tua Tagovailoa at this moment. I was one of those people years ago, and if I could slap myself in the face to get a reality check, I absolutely would. And I was one of the people. I was one of many fans who was banging the table. Okay, I was banging the table after the 2023 season to pay the man, and I admit I was dead fucking wrong. I was dead wrong on paying Tua Tagovailoa, and it's the worst mistake this franchise has made. Because as of right now, you cannot convince me otherwise. As of right now, he has the worst contract in the NFL. With the way he's played this season, with the atrocious turnovers. I mean, absolutely mind-boggling turnovers that Skylar Thompson would be making. Not a quarterback who's been in the league for 6 years and being paid $212 million. And it's just ugly. And I said this last night. I don't know. I would think he's going to be on the team next year because of all the guaranteed money we owe him. We owe him $56.4 million next season. That's how much the Miami Dolphins owe Tua Tagovailoa. Are we going to take the cap hit? I have no idea. I don't know what this new general manager is going to want to do. But we owe him $56.4 million. But that does not mean he's got to be the starting quarterback on the team next season. Absolutely not. Whether you draft a guy, whether you sign someone in free agency, whether it's Quinn Ewers if he balls out the last 3 weeks, whether it's Zach Wilson if he balls out the last 3 weeks, if Tua Tagovailoa is on the team next season, you cannot hand him the keys immediately. You got to make him work for it. He's got to be a completely changed man. Because if he comes back next season like he is this season, I don't want anything to do with him. I don't want anything to do with him now, let alone next season. I've seen enough. Everybody has seen enough. Everybody is fed up with the turnovers and the immobility, and he has no awareness. That 3rd and 2 play, that play right there sums up why this team needs to move on from Tua Tagovailoa. I watched this game last night, and I watched the Indianapolis Colts versus the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday with 44-year-old quarterback Phillip Rivers. And I'm telling you right now, Phillip Rivers, at 44 years old, was more mobile than Tua Tagovailoa was in this game. That's pathetic. That's sad. That's extremely sad that a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers is more mobile than a 28-year-old Tua Tagovailoa, who plays like he's 50. Right? How old is this? How old is he's 27. Okay, he's a 27-year-old playing like he's 47. All right, let's get into today's presser. So, there's been a lot of people that have came out and say that the Dolphins should be playing Quinn Ewers. Colin Cowherd said it. Dan Orlovsky said it. I can't remember who else said it, but there's been a lot of people in the national media that's come out and said that it is time for this team to move on from Tua Tagovailoa, and interested to see Bruce Arians is another one on the Pat McAfee show talking about Tua. It's just the media is having an absolute field day with this Tua stuff. We're going to play a couple clips here. This was Mike McDaniel today on potentially benching the $212 million quarterback. This is a short clip, but we're going to play another one in a second. This is McDaniel on potentially benching Tua Tagovailoa.
The quarterback play last night was not good enough, and so for me, everything's on the table.
There you go. Everything is on the table. What does he mean when he says everything is on the table? Zach Wilson and Quinn Ewers. That they are a possibility of playing this game. And I got more things to share, and then we're going to talk about this. So this is McDaniel on potentially benching Tua Tagovailoa.
A lot of things at play. I wouldn't pinpoint exactly this, that, or the other. I just know that at this stage of the season, my expectation was that we'd have a better performance, and you look inward and you look at what you can control and how you can affect it, and sometimes that's that can it's hard to pinpoint exactly. You just really you really have a standard, and when that standard's not being met, something's got to give, and we're looking for clarity on that, because it's not where I want it to be.
And then the last one I want to share with you guys is absolutely with what I agree with, which right now Tua Tagovailoa does not give. I don't care that the season's over. We still have 3 games to play. These guys are professionals. Tua Tagovailoa does not give the Miami Dolphins the best chance to win on Sundays. And that's kind of what McDaniel related to in this clip. And then we're going to talk about this.
Realistically, I just want to give, with some credence behind it, that the team deserves to have the best chance to win the football game. So that means taking care of the football, being able to make plays, move the chains, and get the ball to the open guys. So I think first and foremost, I'll be myself and the staff are trying to get to the nuts and bolts on how we can best deliver a win against the Cincinnati Bengals.
And there you go. And it's not just on the field stuff that Tua is absolutely horrible with. I hated his press conference last night. And he is standing up there and he's saying, we have to be better. And we have to communicate. And we have to be more efficient. And we have to execute more. We. Like there's multiple problems with the offense. Let me tell you something. The running backs are not a problem with the offense. The offensive line, which for years has been a problem, the offensive line is not the problem with the offense. As much as they suck, the receivers, and this includes tight ends too, the receivers and the tight ends are not the problem with the offense. The problem with the offense is the fucking quarterback. And when you're standing up there on the press conference, when you just got embarrassed on national TV, and you just got eliminated from playoff contention, and you're standing up there saying, we have to do this, we have to communicate, we could barely hear in the huddle. He doesn't take accountability. And in my honest opinion, that's Tua Tagovailoa not taking accountability, which is a red flag. Because if he was taking accountability, he'd be like, hey, I have to be better. I have to be more competent. I have to be efficient. I have to execute better on plays. I have to have a better throw to Jalen Waddle so that it doesn't get intercepted. I have to be aware of where the first down marker is. So when it's 3rd and 2, I'm not sliding a yard short. I'm getting to the first down marker and the drive continues. He didn't say any of that. He talked about we instead of I. And that's a problem. That's a problem. So let's talk about what Mike McDaniel said today. There is no way in God's green earth that Mike McDaniel stands up there and said what he said today just for him to turn around and be like, you know what? We're going to continue with Tua Tagovailoa as the starting quarterback for the rest of the season. No way! There's just absolutely no way that happens. And the season's over, yes. But he's still got a job to fight for. And I don't care if we don't win these 3 games. The fan base doesn't care if we don't win these 3 games. You know who's going to care the most about these 3 games? Is Mike McDaniel. You think he wants to finish the season 9-8, have a winning record? You bet your ass he does. So, to me, if he makes a change, it shows me that he's fighting for his job. And he's making the necessary move. And I appreciate that. If he makes the move, I appreciate the tough decision. Because, let's be honest, it's not a tough decision for us. It's probably a tough decision for him because he loves Tua. He is on FaceTime with Tua on the jet when he just got hired to be the head coach. Check your pulse if you're not fired up. Nobody is a bigger supporter of Tua Tagovailoa more than Mike McDaniel. And that's a fact. So, this has got to be hard for Mike. Because his job when coming in here was fix Tua. Make Tua Tagovailoa a better version of himself. And it looked like he was accomplishing that after the first 2 seasons. And and then people are going to say, what happened? What happened between 2023 and this season? I don't fucking know. I don't know. How did we go from having the most passing yards in the league to having the most interceptions? I genuinely don't know. And let me tell you something. I was telling a fan this last night during the game. Even last year, if he had to run, he was able to run and slide after the first down. He had a 15-yard run in the Arizona game last year. He is so unathletic. He is so immobile that on 3rd and 2, he can't run and pick up the first down and properly slide. He's got no awareness of he's got no awareness of the field. No awareness of the first down marker at all. He's clueless out there. He is clueless. And he's a shell of his former self. He's about, I would say there's about 5% of him left of what he was from 2023. And that this is the real version of Tua Tagovailoa. And we already got his peak 2 years ago. That was his peak. And this is actually who he is. This is who Tua Tagovailoa is. And it's 2 plays for me. It's the 3rd and 2 slide. And it's the 3rd down where he's just... no one's open. So he just runs to the left. And he just holds on to the ball. And it's almost like he waits for the defender to come to him to get fucking sacked. Like... no awareness to throw the ball away in that situation at all. And I'm just so tired of it. So, Mike making the quarterback change shows me that he's willing to make a big change. He's willing to try new things in order to save his job. He's showing that he is willing to make this offense work with someone under center besides Tua Tagovailoa. And I tweeted this out today, and I stand by it. I will be more upset if the Dolphins name Tua Tagovailoa the starter for the rest of the season. I will be more upset about that than I will be when they lost to the Steelers last night and got embarrassed on Monday Night Football, national TV. I'll be more upset if Mike stands up there tomorrow and he names Tua the starting quarterback for the rest of the season. But I don't think he's going to. Because you don't go up there and say what you said today and then turn around and be like, oh, by the way, everything's not really on the table. Tua is my guy for the rest of the season. No. We've seen enough. We've watched enough Tua Tagovailoa football. We've had enough. It's over. It's over. If there's a time for it to be over, it's now. It is now. And that should not be what the decision is. The decision should be, okay, do we go with Zach Wilson or do we go with Quinn Ewers? And here's my thought process behind this. They signed Zach Wilson this offseason to a 1-year, $6 million deal. And they made this signing a big deal. coming out and saying, we targeted Zach Wilson. He's still a very young quarterback in this league. He has a lot of potential. Number 2 overall draft pick in 2021. We think he's a great fit for our offense. They were very keen on Zach Wilson this past free agency. That they paid him $6 million to be a backup. And you could look at this as, when Sam Darnold got his career revised with the Seahawks, Baker Mayfield reviving his career with the Buccaneers, Daniel Jones reviving his career with the Indianapolis Colts this season. You could look at a situation like Zach Wilson, and Mike McDaniel could be like, you know what, the offensive guru that he is, he'd be like, you know what, I want to try to revive Zach Wilson's career, and let's go with Zach. I could absolutely see him doing that. And then you have Quinn Ewers, who was a 7th-round rookie quarterback, very successful in college with the Texas Longhorns, and was pretty good in preseason. And he's barely gotten his feet wet in the NFL. He had some action Week 7 against the Cleveland Browns. He had a 40-yard pass to D. Eskridge, but the guy's barely gotten his feet wet. And how are you supposed to know what you have in Quinn Ewers if you don't play him on the field and you don't give him reps with the ones in practice and you don't let him go out there and perform? See what we got. Do we have a solid backup for the future? Do we have a potential Brock Purdy situation? Or is this guy just a placeholder and he has no future on this team? We won't know any of that unless we play Quinn Ewers. So, between the two options, you have Zach Wilson and you have Quinn Ewers. The more exciting option and the more fun option would be Quinn Ewers, because he's the new guy on the block. He's the rookie. And he would give the fan base a reason to want to see the Dolphins win games. Because if the Dolphins in these 3 games are winning games because of Quinn Ewers, that's a fucking great sign. And if not, then we tried. But that's the more fun and exciting option. What would I do? I would go with Quinn Ewers. See what you got in the guy. He's a new talent. Let's get the running game going with Devon Achane, and let's have Quinn Ewers slinging this football to Jalen Waddle, Darren Waller, and the rest of the guys. What I think is going to happen is Mike is going to go on the podium tomorrow, and he's going to name Zach Wilson the starting quarterback. And I think he's going to name Zach Wilson the starting quarterback because he's going to try to prove a point that he can run his offense with someone else rather than Tua Tagovailoa, and try to revive someone else rather than Tua Tagovailoa. Because let's say Zach Wilson balls out, Mike can be like, you know what? I put my trust in Zach Wilson, and he flourished in my offense. And they give him another year with Zach Wilson as the starting quarterback, which no fucking way that happens. No shot. And if it fails, well, guess what? Mike is fired, which is what we all want at the end. All we want in these next couple weeks is Tua Tagovailoa to get benched, and Mike McDaniel to be fired. That will usher a new era for the Miami Dolphins. Just like Stephen Ross said at the end of last season when they lost to the New York Jets, and he came out with that statement that status quo is not acceptable, but we'll be running it back with Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel for next season. And you had an absolute disastrous start to the season. You started off the year 1-6, and you needed to do 3 things. And you've already done one of them, which was fire the general manager. You did that. You have 2 more things that you need to do. You need to fire the head coach, and you need to bench Tua Tagovailoa. And if I'm an optimistic man, one of those things is going to happen tomorrow, and we are going to hear around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, breaking news, the Miami Dolphins are benching Tua Tagovailoa for the remainder of the 2025 season. And when that happens, the Tua Tagovailoa era in Miami is over. Because I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, there's no coming back from this. None. You are basically admitting that you've seen everything you can with Tua. It's not good enough, and we're moving on. That's what you're admitting. So, time will tell. I'll have another video up for you guys tomorrow. Probably not as long as this, but we needed to make a podcast tonight. We needed to talk about a little bit more about last night, and we needed to talk about this press conference today, leading into tomorrow. Everything is on the table. Mike would not say that for no reason. And if that's not the case, and he just goes up there and he's like, Tua's the starter for the rest of the season, we can toss his ass out the door. Get out. Fire him and cut Tua. Who cares about the dead cat? We're probably going to suck next year anyways. So, we'll see. We'll see. Is it Zach Wilson or is it Quinn Ewers? I think it should be Quinn Ewers. I think it's going to be Zach Wilson. Time will tell. We'll see you tomorrow night here on the Big Fight Fuel channel to talk about the quarterback decision for the Miami Dolphins.